Okay, good morning. So, first of all, some good news. Yesterday, Senator Andy Kim's office actually called me back. So I'm going to quickly play that for you because not only did he call back, but he actually, well, he didn't, but his staffer actually answered the question that I asked when I called. So.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Senator Andy Kim's office. We're just calling, referring back to a voicemail that you sent 2 hours ago regarding Senator's stance on Senator Mark Wayne-Mullin as potential secretary for DHS. Just to let you know that the senator feels that until people like Stephen Miller are no longer making decisions, we will continue to see the same corruption, abuse of power, and horrific immigration tactics seen in New Jersey and across the country, regardless of who replaces Secretary No. That's why Senator Kim announced that he will be voting no on the confirmation of Senator Mark Wayne-Mullin to be the next Secretary of Homeland Security. If you like to voice your perspective regarding this, you're welcome to call our office and we'll definitely take note of your message and we'll pass that message along to the senator. Thank you so much for your voice message. We definitely greatly appreciate it. Hope you have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that's excellent. If he had made that announcement prior to my calling yesterday, I did not see it anywhere. But really glad that he had somebody call back because generally that is not what's happening when I'm calling these people. And a few times that I have gotten email responses, it has been all campaign material from people, which doesn't refer to the questions that I'm asking. Okay, so additionally, and what I am calling people about today is finally Pam Bondi is being subpoenaed to testify in front of House Government and Oversight Committee. The subpoena comes after a motion from Nancy Mace of South Carolina was passed. Nancy Mace has actually done something right here, so yay. It's a good motion. Pam Bondi absolutely should be forced to actually answer questions. And when she doesn't, when she obfuscates and when she says things like, the Dow's over 50,000 points, and when she openly lies under oath, she should be brought up on charges. Again, this is something that should have already happened because she has lied under oath and to Congress in the past, but she's now being subpoenaed to testify about the DOJ's handling of the Epstein files in the House Government Oversight Committee. So we're going to call Nancy Mace today. We're also going to call Rep. Melanie Stansbury, who has really, of New Mexico, who has really been a voice for transparency on the files and a victim's advocate on both the Epstein files and the brutality of ICE. So I want to call both of them today because I do think there's a few things that are still left hanging. And part of those are prompted by the fact that I finally finished reading. I finally started reading. It took me a while to get started because, as Virginia pointed out multiple times in her book, it's tough to get through. So I'm going to call Nancy Mace first. And see what we can find out.
Good morning, Congresswoman Mace's office. How may I help you?
Hi, good morning. I'm actually calling from New Jersey, but I saw that a motion was passed that Representative Mace had put forward to subpoena Pam Bondi to appear before the Government Oversight Committee in regards to the Epstein files, the handling of the Epstein files. So I wanted to pass my congratulations along on making that motion. I also wanted to know if the representative has any thoughts about subpoenaing or asking to have subpoenaed Mark Epstein, the brother of Jeffrey Epstein.
I have not talked to the congresswoman about that topic, but I'd be happy to forward your message.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean that's really it. Sorry, say again.
No problem. Of course, no problem.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and have a good day.
Anytime. Thank you. You too, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm not going to get into Nancy Mace's questioning of like the Clintons and stuff. Overall, Nancy Mace is like, I'm not a fan. But this was a good move. And, I like congratulations where flowers are due, right? That said, the reason I ask about Mark Epstein is that it is made clear in Virginia's book that Mark Epstein's New York apartment was used to house girls that Jeffrey was trafficking. Virginia talks about the first time that she went to New York with Jeffrey and Ghislaine. The first night that she spent was in Mark Epstein's apartment. It was not at the townhouse that we've all, seen pictures of and seen images of Prince Andrew coming out the front door, and that was like down the street from the school. But the first night she spent, and apparently several other allegations have been made that other girls at the time were kept at that apartment. So I would think that one would want to subpoena the brother, whether he was like wildly involved in the way that some of these other people were or not. If your brother is saying like, oh, I'm going to keep these teenage girls at your house, that's weird. And why do you have teenage girls to keep at my house? So I'm also going to ask Stansbury about that. Stansbury also had some questions for Bill Clinton when he testified that I want to follow up on. So let's call her.
Thank you for calling the office of Representative Melanie Stansbury. Please leave a message at the tone and we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Hi, Rep Stansbury. My name is Eileen. I'm actually calling from New Jersey. I am calling because I saw that Pam Bondi is finally being subpoenaed to testify about the mishandling of the Epstein files, which I think is great. I know that you are working on an investigation into the Zorro Ranch. I am interested in like what we, the citizenry, can do to help, what your plan is going forward, because obviously there is a lot that went on there, and you've been a great victims advocate. So I think we're all interested in finding out ways that the rest of us can help, those of us that aren't in Congress. I also wanted to ask about if there's any plans for Mark Epstein to be subpoenaed. It's been made clear in Virginia Giuffre's book that his apartment was used to house girls that Jeffrey was trafficking. So I think it would be appropriate to subpoena him, find out what he knew. I also wanted to follow up on some of the questions that you asked to former President Bill Clinton. You had noted in the deposition, that, you brought up Virginia Giuffre's diaries, and President Clinton retorted like, well, did she say that in her book? You said this is from her personal diary that the family had shared. And I think ultimately some of these things, he pointed out that like the book came out more recently than the diaries, blah, 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 right? I think there should have been a little bit more pushback because there was note of him in the book, obviously.
10 seconds of recording time left.
There was note of him in the book as well. And you know, she doesn't claim she did anything with him, that anything happened.
To send your message, press 1. To send your message as urgent, press 2. Thanks. Your message was sent. Thanks for calling. Goodbye.
That's frustrating because I have a lot of things and there wasn't even an option to leave a longer voicemail. This was the last thing I was going to ask her, though. In the deposition with Bill Clinton, she brought up Virginia Roberts Giuffre's diaries that had been shared by her family. Bill Clinton pushed back about, you know, well, her book came out more recently than the diaries, right? And I will say, in the book, Virginia makes points about, you know, like, as a traumatized teenager, not everything, I think, when she's writing this book 20 years later is necessarily always in the right order. You know, she makes a point that, you know, there were certain things that she might have been mistaken about, due to timing or, you know, her exact age at any given time, because while she was underage when all of this began, no matter what, a lot of things happened fast. She had also been abused as a child. So, like, she was traumatized for years and years and years. So exact dates and times might not completely line up. Representative Stansbury says, are you familiar with Virginia Giuffre? Bill Clinton says yes. Rep Stansbury, as has already been established, she has stated in numerous sworn statements, including a sworn deposition in the Maxwell trial, that she saw you on the island with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, this morning, her family shared her diary with me, and in it is a quote wherein she writes, quote, Bill Clinton met 2 times island with 2 girls, CTGM and JE. What is your reaction to that? It's not true. Do you have any dates associated with that? Were there dates on the diary? I don't have that information, but we'll be happy to share it with you. It would be terrific because I think there are also records that would reflect where else he would have been. That was his lawyer. William Clinton, did she say that in her book? This is from her personal diary that her family shared with us. Yes, but the book came out more recently. Did she say that in the book? I'm just reading you the entry from her diary that her family shared with me. I think she ultimately reached a different conclusion, although I had no contact with her. Okay, fine. I mean, I don't necessarily believe him, and obviously we are in the unfortunate position of Virginia Giuffre is no longer with us, so she can't retort that. In the book, however, she does make note of multiple times where she saw him at dinners with Jeffrey Epstein, which to me begs the question, okay, fine, you're having dinner with also Al Gore, like other people as well. That's all well and good. You're having dinner with a guy that, well, maybe you don't know that this is a situation with in his house. Why are there underage girls there? Just why are they there? If you are someone who was a former president of the United States, if you're any random person on the street, I would expect you to wonder why there are young girls there that are not the daughters of anyone present. They are not on the catering staff. They are not on the household staff, which would be a whole other problem to begin with. But I could at least see, okay, a 17-year-old girl is getting hired for a catering job. That wasn't the case. These girls were at the dinner. How are you not asking that question? Why don't you think that that's a problem? Whether you did or did not do anything with them, the fact that you sat there with them or, and didn't think to yourself, why are there teenagers here who don't belong to any of these adults? That's messed up, dude. So, hit me back, Rep Stansbury. I mean, obviously we're not going to be able to get the Clintons to testify again. But we can't let the Epstein stuff die any more than we can let everything else that's going on around us die. So, thanks so much, and hopefully we'll get another call back. I was delighted to have gotten a call back.